Let's hear it, crowd. All right. Fantastic. A big thank you to the people at Stormbreaker for allowing us to be here tonight. We got a great Cloud Ripper IPA here, and it's prepping me for the interview process. We've got a lot of tough questions for Courtney Frerichs, who's going to join me on stage pretty soon. But we've got some things that we need to talk about before that happens, just some odds and ends that we need to tie up. We want to congratulate the Olympians who live and train in Portland, Oregon. Believe it or not, there's 15 athletes who live here amongst us, walking the streets, shopping at the different grocery stores, who went to Tokyo to compete. We've got Elise Cranny, Gabriella Debuse-Stafford, Jess Hull, Carissa Schweitzer, Constance Klosterhoffen, Amos Bartlesmeyer, Galen Rupp, Grant Fisher, who got that 5th place in the 10K, Mad Mark Scott, Matthew Centrowitz, Suguru Osako, Woody Kincaid. The list goes on, and then you have the medalists too. Raven Rogers, Pete's Dragons, and Team USA. She took the bronze in the 800 there. We had Mo Ahmed, the Canadian Bowerman Track Club ace. He took silver in the 5,000 meters. And then Courtney Frerichs, who's here tonight, Team USA in the Bowerman Track Club, silver medal. 15 athletes in all. It's a special town, special place to be. And believe it or not, Craig Nowak paced them all to their Olympic standards. So thank you very much, Craig Nowak. We've got some, we're going to take a break for a minute for the music to roll by. Yeah. And we're back from intermission. All right. Also, big shout out to Liam Mayrow, who's sitting here in the front row. So, yeah, while we're handing out praise, Liam broke 4 minutes for the very first time down in LA at Craig Engel's Mustache Mile. Liam, how long have you been trying to do that?
It's been a long journey. I'd say about 10 years.
10 years you've been trying to do that. Before that, you didn't even know what the mile was, right?
Yeah, I thought it was 1,600 meters until the day out.
Yeah, but you did it. Mustache Mile, and you look great doing it. Second best guy in the picture when we take a selfie together, so good work.
Thank you.
All right, what else do we have? Talking about track meets here, we held the Portland Track Festival in Stumptown Twilight this year in the Electric Forest, and the racing was electric. For those of you who don't know, we did something new. Tracklandia and Portland Track came together, and we created a new system for athletes. So we created a revenue sharing program where through the broadcast, when you purchased a ticket, after production cost, because somebody's got to pay for JJ's mac and cheese over there, $4 of every $5 ticket costs went straight to the athletes. We put it straight into the prize purse. In track and field, it is the first revenue sharing program with athletes in the sport. I mean, other sports like pro baseball, football, basketball, they all revenue share around 50% with the athletes, and we believe it's time for track to step up and do the same thing. So because of that, we got a motorcycle going by. Mississippi Street, it's the hot spot here. Because of that, we were able to put $40,000 more into athletes' pockets through the prize purse between Portland Track Festival and Stumptown Twilight. And we plan on doing that next year and the year after and the year after that. And we're going to do some different things where we create different models and matchups and stuff like that and get you excited about the events that you're going to see and maximize those possibilities and all of those cool things. So keep your ear to the ground for that, Peter Bromka. Upcoming races here. We got Pre-Classic coming up. So head down to Eugene if you're not already doing so. Make sure you build in 57 minutes extra time to stop it in and out on the way, Kaiser. And Rose City Mile. Rose City Mile. Coming up September 18th. You can get your tickets, RoseCityMile.com. It's that easy. Yeah, go to the site. There's prize money on the line there too. Check it out. And the Red Lizard Stumptown Cross Country Series. Who's doing that this year? All right. Fabulous. We've got 5 big-time fall matchups between all the clubs in the city there. All the families are coming together to race each other at Lentz Park, Mary S. Young State Recreation Area, fabled grounds there, Strawberry Island, Fernhill Park, Pier Park. Liam's licking his chops over here at these things. Yeah, I'm not talking about your lettuce wrap. I'm talking about the cross-country series. But yeah, are you going to beat the Jacuzzi Boys this year?
BTC Elite?
Yeah.
15 years ago. Absolutely.
Oh, that's an absolutely. All right. Stoking the fire already. Peter Bronca likes that. All right. Let's stop wasting time here. We've done enough of that. We don't need to listen to just me talking anymore. Here's an introduction for you. She comes from a state that raises corn and cotton and cockleburs and steeplechasers, and frothy eloquence neither convinces or satisfies her. She is from Missouri. If you think you have what it takes to take the lead from Courtney Frerichs, you're going to have to show her. Everybody, please welcome Courtney Frerichs to the stage. All right. Courtney, take a seat. You know what that passage is from there?
No, I don't, actually.
It's from your home state of Missouri, the Show Me State.
Yeah, I do know it's called the Show Me State, but I hadn't read that before, heard that before.
It's from a speech by Congressman Willard Duncan Vandiver.
Okay.
Yeah, you should check that out.
Okay.
That's good. Hey, what's a cocklebur, by the way?
I don't know.
Anybody? Cocklebur?
Things that get stuck to your socks and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's a good crop.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Well, yeah. What kind of music do they listen to out in Missouri?
I mean, I think most people probably think we listen to only country music, but I don't think Griffin and I are really representative of that.
Yeah? What do you guys listen to out there?
In Missouri?
Yeah.
I don't know, pop.
Pop. Nice. Well, we're gonna talk about your Tokyo race here pretty soon, but we've got some other things to get through before we do that. But I don't want to bury the lead. You got the silver medal in that event over in Tokyo. So, silver medalist here, sitting right up here on stage with us. I think what we're all curious about here is what was life like in the Olympic Village in Tokyo during a pandemic?
Honestly, it was a lot better than I was expecting. I sort of thought we were going to be locked in our rooms the whole time, and they kind of prefaced that it might be like that, like getting your meals delivered. But they did a really good job of kind of making a really fun environment. Obviously, there were safety protocols in place, but it kind of felt like almost like college all over again.
Yeah. What was the cafeteria like there?
I mean, you just had like every cuisine you could think of. You had your pizza and your pasta station, and then there was obviously really great Asian foods available. I feel like I had like udon soup like every day, every meal. So there was sushi like available, which was super fun. And you got to go and sit in these really, fun little plastic cubicles.
To block you off from everybody else there.
So there was just like plastic on either side and in front of you, so you could actually sit and eat with people. But it was actually easier to sit next to people because you couldn't hear through the plastic super well.
Oh, so it was like confessional then, sitting there eating dinner in the cafeteria. Stare straight ahead, don't look at me.
Yeah.
It seems like it could be a little tense in the village there. You have like no family and it's closed off from the outside world. Yeah,
it was definitely different just being in this little bubble. Sometimes we look back and we're like, did it actually happen? Because you didn't interact with anybody else but the other athletes and a few coaches. But I think we really embraced it and had fun with it and allowed it to not be a distraction and, just enjoyed the experience.
You were there for a specific purpose.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, who was your roommate in this whole journey over there?
I roomed with Ellie Purrier, which was really fun. I didn't know her super well before other than just having met through college and on the circuit, and we honestly had a really great friendship that came from it, and really enjoyed the whole week. And Tara Davis was in my suite, and she brought so much energy to the suite all the time. It was super fun. Like, I feel like I have a lot of friendships that actually came from it this time around.
Nice. Is Tara Davis an early riser? Did she get things going early in the morning?
Yeah, pretty much all my suite mates were up at 5 or 6 every morning, which was definitely not my style, but everyone had a morning session at some point, which required you on a bus at like 6 or 6:30.
Oh, man.
So sleep was definitely not something that was, a priority, I suppose, at that point.
Yeah, and the beds, everybody's making a big deal about the cardboard beds over there, too. Like, what? Yeah, put that subject to rest. How were they?
I actually didn't think it was that bad, but I like a really firm bed, so.
Me too.
There were a lot of people that were ordering like mattress toppers from Amazon or like extra blankets and pillows, and they actually delivered to the village, and so people were making the most of it.
Oh, right on. Yeah, making them right at home.
Exactly.
How was it being on the Bowerman Track Club over there? I mean, you had a lot of teammates in the village. I'm surprised that you didn't, like, one of your teammates wasn't your roommate over there.
Yeah, like Elise and Carissa got to room together, but we had an odd number on the U.S. team, and Gabriella was in the Team Canada building, so.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
And on it, like, our schedules were actually like pretty opposite, because Elise and Carissa were competing in the evening, whereas my first round was in the morning. So a lot of times I wouldn't see them until they were waking up like practically in the afternoon, and I would like already have done my run and had 2 meals, and they're just kind of getting their day started.
That makes sense. So there was some thought that was put into these matchups in the
yeah, I think so. Like it worked out nice that like Ellie was in the 15 and I was in the steeple, because like we had our morning rounds at the same time and then moved to the evening, so our sleep schedules in theory were kind of similar.
Mm-hmm. And with Team USA there, like when you're in the Olympic Village, is there some kind of like camaraderie, or is there like rivalries with other teams in there, or is it like a gang mentality in there where you're roaming around together?
There's definitely a lot of camaraderie going on just within like the entire Team USA. The baseball players were actually super interested in learning about track and field. I think just because the whole Olympic experience was really new for them. And so they were often asking a million questions during all the races, almost to the point they were like, hey, I kind of just want to watch this. But, what kind of shoes are you wearing? Like, all sorts of things. Is there an advantage to making that move, or do you want to be in the front right now? Like, and they were good questions, but obviously,
Yeah, they're a notoriously superstitious bunch. So with the questions around that, like, do you wash your uniforms from prelim to semi to final?
I didn't get any questions like that, but I did actually. I was talking about this earlier with somebody. My prelim went really well, so I wanted to wear the same uniform for the final, so I did wash it in between so that I could wear the same one. So I guess I fall into that category.
You could be a baseball player, yeah. Well, yeah. Why did you choose not to wear arm sleeves in the race, by the way?
I didn't want to pull the Woody Kincaid.
Yeah.
Well, if you saw, he pulled them off, so clearly it wasn't.
He did.
Wasn't the right weather for the arm sleeves.
Yeah. Have you talked to him about that? What's the scoop?
I don't even know what really drove the decision. I think he just decided to. Why not? And then it went really well, so in the 5K, he felt like he had to.
Yeah. I mean, once things go, it's like the baseball mentality, I think. Yeah,
you
once things go
going.
well. Right. But it's good that he ditched them when he needed to.
5, yeah.
Nice. Let's take it back here. 2019 World Championships. So you placed 6th there. Mm-hmm. And then the plan is, as it was for everybody, all right, we're going to put in a good fall. That was already October by then. Yeah, it was a late one. Put in a good fall, and then get ready for the Olympics in 2020. And then obviously 2020 happened. It threw everybody for a loop. But how did you personally use that time to gear up for 2021 and what you ultimately did in this season?
Yeah, once the games were delayed, I tried to shift my focus on using the time to work on weaknesses and figure out how I can grow as an athlete. And for me at the time, it was to dive into the flat running, which has kind of always been scary for me. Yeah,
no steeplechasing in 2020.
Yeah.
Man.
It was weird. I feel like I finished the season and was a little bit sad that I didn't steeple, but I think it was good that I kind of tackled the area that I was like kind of scared of.
The flats.
So the flat stuff, yeah.
What area in the flats were you most scared of?
Definitely the speed side of things. I feel like I just sort of chalked up my lack of speed as not being good at it, and so we never really worked on it in college, and it took me a while to even kind of get after the speed and in my time in Bowerman. And you know, Jerry made me run an 800 last year.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like I haven't run this event for like 10 years. I don't really know what to do.
But so you're outside of your comfort zone in a lot of areas there. What did you do mentally to prepare yourself and deal with that push out of 2020? That okay, we're not, or in that time we didn't know what was going to happen for a long period of time. How did you keep yourself focused and eyes on the prize, even though no steeplechasing in the near future?
I think I realized I needed to set some new goals, especially since the goal I'd been focusing on for so long was possibly gone and really delayed if the games didn't even happen in 2021. And so, you know, I set a goal of breaking 15 and seeing how fast I could run in the 1500. And I think that really got me through the summer and allowed me to have a good training camp, because my spring was not going well because there wasn't a lot of goals at that point, because it was like, are we even going to get to race? Like, the Olympics aren't happening. And as much as I love the sport, I'm also a really like goal-driven person, and not having that proved to be kind of difficult.
Yeah, but you did have the Bowerman Track Club Series in 2020 where you set some PRs.
Yeah.
And the Bowerman Track Club dynamic too, I think is really interesting with the pace train and how you guys work for each other. And it seems like in races now on the circuit after 2020, your teammates work for whoever has the hot hand out there, or whoever's trying to get something done. How do you factor into that setup, and what do you think about that whole dynamic? I call it the Red Lightning Express.
The Red Lightning Express.
Yeah.
You know, I think it makes training just so much more enjoyable, because if you're having a bad day, your teammates are going to step up and help carry you through. And then when it comes to racing, you know, who better can you trust than your teammates? You know they're going to get the job done. And
it's the most teamwork you see in track and field.
Yeah,
I think.
And you know, you always know when like you give with the pacing that one day you're going to get it back. And so, you know, I also really enjoy the pacing, so I like that aspect of it too. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I feel like we have, you know, the best team out there to be able to get it from both ends, you know, get to enjoy being pulled along and then also get to help out. So
it's kind of like a cycling mentality. The way that I've been thinking about it is like, well, you have the domestiques who work for the leader back there, but then it's nice that it rotates too, because track is still an individual sport. Yeah. And everybody has their own goals there.
Exactly.
But you're also now the only steeplechaser on the team too. So how is that compared with everybody else who is competing? I mean, you have your teamwork and your team throughout the year, but then they have to compete for spots to get on Team USA. But you're in that nice spot where you don't have to compete with your teammates.
Yeah, I definitely think, like, you know, I'm impressed with how they all handle it, because we did have a lot of women stepping on the line in the 5 and 10K, and I think that they would all say they would choose to be able to train with the best and then actually have that comfort level of having your teammates in the race. Because you can lean on one another in the race too. Like, okay, I've been with this person in practice, like I'm going to work with them now. So I do think there's a comfort level. And then, I think I kind of get the best of both worlds, like getting to train with the top flat runners in the US, and then, you know, getting to go run the steeple. And, you know, I think learning how to push myself in practice in those steeple workouts really led to me having the confidence to go to the front in some of the races this year.
Yeah, that's a little hint to what we'll be talking about in the future there. I like how you call everybody flat runners too. Yeah. Is that a term used widely in the steeplechasing community?
Yeah.
The flat runners?
The flat runners.
Nice. I went back and I read a few of your blog posts too, which I think are great.
Oh, thanks.
But something that you touched on is this idea of perfection too, and that's something that you've been working on. Mm-hmm. Explain that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm innately a perfectionist. That's what my parents would say. And then it was like really cultivated through gymnastics, where the whole premise of the sport is perfection. And there was a lot of good in that coming to running, but also training and racing is not perfect. And I really struggled, particularly when I got to the professional level, and international races can be really like all over the place at times. You have a lot more tactical races, or the pace is changing all the time. And even in practice, I'd trained so much on my own prior to coming to the Bowerman Track Club that when I felt out of control, it felt like I couldn't do it. And the perfectionist in me would take over and be like, no, there's only one way to get this done, and I only know how to do it this way. So we've had to work really hard on letting go of that.
Like, what are some things that you did to work on that and get your mind out of that?
I mean, a lot of it was visualization and like kind of practicing being able to go with these moves that are being made, or things playing out differently than I think they're going to, or just reminding myself how to breathe through it all. Because I think sometimes I have a tendency, whenever it feels like things are going awry, I like tense up, and the last thing you want to do when you're running is to stop breathing.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think, a quote that stuck out to me from your post, it said, this is specifically about your Monaco American record race. You said, every time I had an instinct to make a move, I trusted it in that race. And that quote just kind of like unlocked a lot of doors in my mind. I mean, because believe it or not, and a lot of people won't believe this, like I have been a perfectionist too. I mean, it doesn't show in my work, but yeah, it's out there. But yeah, that is kind of just saying, like you were saying, there isn't just one way to do this. And if you trust every one of your instincts, then that means that there are a bunch of different ways to do it.
Exactly.
You can't be right every single time, but what is right?
Right. You're just gonna have to go with it. And if it didn't work, it's okay. You can, try something different. And that can even happen in racing too. And so it's like realizing you have this like toolbox of things you can lean on, and it doesn't have to be like one certain way, or yeah, like it's always changing.
Yeah, there's no perfect way to do this stuff. Yeah, and that's like, I don't know, there's this, like, we don't know what we can do, really.
Yeah.
Like, I think, like, that perfectionist idea is like, I know what I can do, and that's
it's almost limiting.
Yeah.
It's like the safe route.
Yeah.
So.
I was having this conversation with one of my friends, and they're like, you have to just keep taking shots, and every time you take a shot, you get closer and closer to the bullseye. But you have to try to be able to do that, and you can't just like know what you're capable of at the very beginning.
Yep.
But that's really freeing too, to be able to do that. Nice.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
It's always a work in progress. I feel like, anytime things are, not going great, it's my instinct to go back to it. But it's like when you learn how to get through the harder times or the lows, like you really like develop more skills, and you add something probably else to your toolbox, so that when you're in another situation, you're like, oh no, I have been here before, and I think I do know what to do this time. Yeah,
I go back to this, I heard this somewhere, card players, I think, have this idea of finite and infinite games. And a finite game is like, okay, it's done after this, and you either win or you lose, and that's it. But an infinite game is like, okay, I'm sitting at this poker table, and I have these cards in my hand, and I know that I'm going to be sitting here again and again and again and again. So I'm just going to play the best hand that I have, and know that I'll be playing better next time and next time.
Yep.
And then you're like, oh yeah, like when I'm 60, I'm going to be the best steeplechaser on the planet then.
Yeah. By then I'll have like a massive toolbox that I can rely on, right?
Right, yeah, exactly. But that's a good segue to out in Tokyo too, when you played a strong hand. So take us through that day, because leading up to the Olympic trials and to Tokyo, you'd won your races for the season. I think you'd won all your steeplechases leading up to that.
Other than the trials, yeah.
Yeah, up to the trials.
Up to the trials, yeah.
Yeah, but you hadn't gotten under 920.
Yeah.
And then you just like kicked it into another gear. So what was that like? What was the preparation like leading into those races before we get there?
Into the trials.
Yeah.
So I think from Portland Track Festival to the trials, training really started to come together, and I was really happy with how things were going, and I felt pretty confident going into it that I could contend for the win and try to make my second Olympic team. And we really this year kind of took the long approach to training and kind of the slow build. And part of that was an injury early on in the fall and winter, and part of it is also, I think it's my strength, kind of just building a strong foundation. And so Portland Track Festival really kind of I felt like kind of got my confidence and mojo back with steepling. I think that
It does that for people. Yeah, Portland Track Festival does
honestly,
that.
it was such a fun meet, and I finally found myself feeling like a steeplechaser again. As much as taking the year off of it was, I think, a good decision, I also found myself a little rusty coming back to it because I hadn't steepled in 2 years. And so I got into the trials really excited and feeling ready, and I think it was a good prep, I guess, now in hindsight, for what I wanted to do at the Olympic Games, and that was to go to the front and kind of push the pace and see what could happen with that.
How was that dress rehearsal for the Olympics, the trials? Because you have a great rivalry with Emma Coburn, one of the best in the sport.
Yeah.
You guys, you go back and forth, and you have the American record. You took silver when she took gold in the World Championships. What's that like going head to head with somebody? Or you two are the best steeplechasers that the U.S. has ever had, and you're in the same era, and you have to race each other constantly.
Yeah.
So what's that dynamic like?
Honestly, it's really, really great. I looked up to her for so long, and so for us to transition to this rivalry and friendship has been really fun. And I think we both know we're so much better because of one another. So there's almost an excitement when we get to race, because there's a comfort in knowing the other one's going to be there, because we're both wanting to push the event forward.
Yeah.
And so, but obviously we're competitive too. So, I wanted to try to win the Olympic trials, and as I mentioned earlier, speed is not my strength, and I definitely think she's a bit of a better 1,500 meter runner than I, so I knew I needed to, attempt to run the kick out a little bit. And so that was where that decision came from. But it was really just a fun race to be a part of. Also, we never had a USA's or a trials go that fast. I think it was exciting to see that come together, and I think had me really excited about what might be coming at the Olympic Games.
I mean, you're in an incredible era, and you're leading an incredible era of women's distance running too. I always say, or I have been saying, not that anybody needs or cares what I say, but women in the U.S. are leading distance running for sure. You guys aren't. I don't know what it is, but you're not afraid to go up against each other whenever and wherever. And the men kind of do this thing where dodge each other and maybe chirp at each other a little bit. But you're like, no, let's just square up and get after it. Maybe it's Shalane or whatever, or
yeah, I mean,
the Shalane effect.
Yeah, I mean, I do think the Shalane effect is real. I've been able to experience that firsthand, being part of the Bowerman Track Club and kind of in one of the early groups to come in. And I think she wasn't afraid to bring us along with her, versus it being this sort of no, I'm on top and I'm not going to share anything. And then I think that's what's been so great, and why we're seeing so many women run fast is we're looking at it and being oh, hey, I can do that too, instead of being oh no, they're just a one-of-a-kind talent or something like that. People aren't afraid to work hard and put themselves in it. It's how exciting how many women have broken 15 minutes in the 5K in the last year and a half. That's incredible. And so it's pretty soon I feel the norm's going to be 1440s, 1430s, and we're just going to keep pushing it along, and it's fun to be a part of that and
totally
just see how far we can get.
Or sub-9 in the steeplechase, huh?
It's hopefully coming soon.
Yeah. Well, let's go to the day of the final here. Well, first, the night before. What was going through your head the night before as you hit your cardboard pillow and readied yourself for the day?
Honestly, what I had spoken with Jerry about at the track was still kind of going through my head, because he'd been really ever since the prelim had happened, kind of putting this idea in my head of not being afraid to take the lead. And he was just really confident that I could make a push at the front and that it could potentially pay off. He was like, I'm so happy with how your training's going. I'm so happy with how this prelim went. Like, I really think that this might be your best shot at getting on the podium and having a chance at winning this. And so I was like definitely a little scared to hear that. I mean, before that I'd never led in an international race, like never a Diamond League, never a World Championship, nothing. Mm-hmm. So I was like, gosh, like this is the biggest race of my career, and he wants me to, you know, take it as early as 1,000 meters in. But then I remembered watching Evan Jager's 2016 Olympic final race, and I got to watch it in person. And it has stuck with me for the last 5 years. And not because of his finish, but because he took the lead in that race and made it into the race he needed it to be successful. And that has been something I've wanted in my career since that day. And I felt like Jerry telling me that meant like this was my opportunity to do that. And so I felt some fear around taking it, but I felt ready to do it because I felt like if he was telling me this, then it meant I really could do that. So
it's one of the most vulnerable places you could be on the planet, I think, leading a track race out there. I mean, you're just putting yourself out there for the world to see, and the wolves are behind you. You're like there isn't a lot of coverage on your body or anything. You're vulnerable. But it's that. I mean, it's amazing. Like we were having viewing parties at 4 a.m. like and you made that race because you took the lead. And I think I speak for everybody here when I say like that was your race because you were at the front for the whole time.
Yeah, I think honestly, like that first lap, like we got to the 1K and it wasn't super fast, and so I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna have to be the one. And there was some weird like people shooting off the front, so I kind of waited one lap to see if someone was gonna do something, and no one would commit, and I was like, okay, I have to go. And there was that instinct, and it was like, I can't wait on this, like I need to do this now. And the first lap, honestly, was really terrifying because you don't know at that point what's going on behind you, and you don't want to put any energy into that.
Yeah.
But every lap and every 200 I was still in the front, I just started to gain more confidence. And I just really tried to channel that and be like, you're still here, like you can still do this. And, you know, Jerry had prepared me that I could get to 300 to go and everyone could still be in it and everyone might pass me, and that I needed to be ready to respond. And so even whenever Peruth went around me with 250 to go and I was like starting to hit a wall, I was ready for it because I knew that might happen. And I was just like, the last thing you can do right now is shut down and start only thinking about what's going on behind you. Like you can only think about what's going on in front of you. And I was like, and that's just execution of these last two barriers, because at that point I still had a water jump, another barrier to get through.
Yeah. And when did you let yourself enjoy the moment, or when did you switch your brain from, all right, this is a competition and I have to keep my head down and keep at it, to I'm gonna medal in the Olympic Games?
I think when I got through the last water jump, I really felt like it was gonna happen, but I wasn't gonna really like know it was for real until I got across the line. And as soon as I got across the line, I think it all hit me, and I was definitely like overwhelmed with emotion.
Yeah, what were you thinking about in that moment? What was going through your mind? Because it's an empty stadium too, for the most part, right?
Yeah.
Who did you see? Who did you talk to when you crossed the finish line?
Paul Mosier was the first person I saw, actually. So he was right there at the finish line. And what was really neat was that because it was empty, you could actually hear people. Mm-hmm. So I could hear Paul every lap. I could hear Pascal every lap.
Yeah, I saw Paul. I saw you and Paul on the broadcast. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So as like hard as it wasn't to not be able to share that moment with everyone that's been a part of all of this, like I did get to share it with a few really important people, and it was definitely a much closer thing than probably if it would have been a full stadium. Mm-hmm. So I really cherish those moments of getting to share it with a few people. And before the races were starting, we didn't even think the coaches were going to be allowed to be in the actual venue. We thought they were going to be stuck at the practice track. So being able to have them out there was really, really nice. And Ellie was out there. She had just finished her race as well. And she got probably my favorite video of the victory lap. So
Oh, good.
it was still a really enjoyable moment, even if it was different than what we expected it to be.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it can't not be an enjoyable moment at that point. You got the silver medal in the Olympics in 2021. What were your first interactions like with your family? Like, when did you get to talk to them, or with Griffin?
So I feel like we were just constantly being whisked away to like other things, and like we had to go to media, and then we were being taken to the medal ceremony, which actually happened right after the race, and then had to finish media, and then finally I requested a cool down. And I was able to access my phone, and I called my family, and they were all together, which was really nice. And I was just able to talk to them, and finally get to share it. And I think I was like already like diving into what happened into the race, and like nitpicking things apart probably, but also celebrating the moment too. So
Were they just like, no, stop it. Yeah, you got to celebrate right now.
My natural instinct to be like, oh, maybe this or that. Like,
how many messages did you have on your phone when you got back to it?
A lot. I actually like had to put my phone away for a while because it was a bit overwhelming, but it was so incredible just to be able to share with so many people that were a part of it. And I was thankful that most of them were all able to be together, and so they were able to share it together too, and celebrate and be with one another.
I mean, I bet it was an amazing feeling to be able to bring them so much joy too. I mean, you did for all of us. And to my house at 4 a.m. It was a joyous
thankfully,
occasion.
for a lot of my family, it's only 6 a.m. So not quite as early, but good celebration on the way to work, right?
Out in Missouri, yeah. You're going to jump into the pre-classic steeplechase too this weekend on Saturday. So a lot of people are going down there, and those that aren't will be tuning in on TV too. So stellar field there. It's almost like a rematch.
Literally, yeah. I was gonna say, it's like the Olympics all over again, and you had Nora in, so
yeah,
which will be really exciting. And I mean, there hasn't been anyone that's broken 9 since 2019, so I'm hoping the race will be set up for that, and I can just focus on competing, and hopefully the time will come. We'll see. Ride the fitness at this point.
Many different ways to get there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you don't have to tell us what your strategy is or anything, but or any goals for the race?
I think just to focus on competing again and try to carry the same sort of mindset that led me to being able to do what I did at the Olympics. And I think if I do that, I'm hopeful that a good time will come. So, Joe Franklin in 2016 saw me, college coach, saw me chasing a time and it kind of not going well, and he gave me a piece of advice to focus on competing, and that led to a really, really great season. So I think having that approach versus kind of only focusing on the clock is a much better way to approach it. Yeah,
I agree. We're all about racing here. I love good old-fashioned racing. Times come afterwards.
Exactly.
Time is a description of the effort that it took to defeat your opponents.
I like that.
Yeah, teaching a course here. No. What do you think about Hayward Field, by the way?
Oh, I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
I was really glad I got to go down in April to that very first meet that they hosted and get to see it and experience it, so that when I came to the trials, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, this is like almost overwhelming. Kind of felt like being in one of like the European stadiums.
It does. It's a nice,
It's really nice.
It hit me like the final day that we were there, because they postponed the events until the evening on the last day because of the heat.
Yeah.
But we were sitting in the upper deck there, and you can look out the back, and you just saw like the sun setting over the hills.
Yeah.
And all the lights in the stadium. Like, this is a magical place.
It really is. And I was really fortunate to get to race at night in our final, and it felt really magical. And we had a beautiful sunset, and I was like, oh, I can't wait for more races here. Like, it feels good to be back. It'd been 4 years since I'd raced at Hayward.
Oh, yeah, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that place has all the bells and whistles.
Yeah, it really does. And I mean, I think that the setup to, the call rooms and things like that were really thought out, and it really leads to feeling, really prepared going into the races. 'Cause, sometimes the setup can be less
Yeah.
than ideal.
Right, they've got that whole warm-up area in the basement. And like they've got bidets on the bathrooms in there and stuff. I'd probably to get ready for Japan, I suppose, but maybe they're taking those out after
Yeah.
the trial. All right, well, pre-classic, we're gonna watch you there, and good luck. But
Thank you.
I mean, what everybody's been wanting to see this whole time. You have a little thing to show us here. So let's see what's in the box.
Okay. So
And is this the actual one, or did
It
you have
is.
another one made?
nope, this is it. So
Wow. Can I touch it?
yeah, you can hold it.
Oh, really?
It's heavy, yeah.
Oh yeah! Wow, this is heavy. Oh man, I don't know what to do. This is amazing. There aren't any bite marks in it or anything. When did you get this right after the race or at the awards ceremony?
At the medal ceremony,
I don't
yeah.
want to do anything to it. Take it back.
Yeah, we got it at the medal ceremony, and then you just were like sent off with it. Nothing, nothing to put it in or anything. It's just kind of like, what do I do with this right now?
Yeah, what are you gonna do with it? What kind of plans do you have for it?
I'll probably keep it in the box, and the box will probably go next to the world champs medal, and just keep it safe. So.
You building a nice little collection there. Well, this is.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, it did come in handy. So I was traveling back and I was in the airport, and there was a pilot coming around, and he was asking all the athletes like how their experience was, if you could take a picture with them, and I let him see the medal and take a picture with it, and he's like, "Oh, are you gonna wear it onto the plane?" I was like, "Oh, I don't think so. I mean, unless it'll get me upgraded to first class."
Yeah, because you have to put that like around the metal detector too. You can't take that.
It actually did go off in the metal detector, but.
That's the best.
And he was like, "Wait, are you not flying first class?" And he ended up getting me upgraded. So it did come in handy for the trip back.
Well deserved. That's awesome. Well, that reminds me, we had a shout out from the crowd here, but we had a question earlier.
Oh yeah.
What was your favorite piece of Olympic swag? that you got?
I mean, honestly, you have to go with the Skims robe. I think that was the product that was the piece everybody wanted.
Was that the poncho thing? Or
No, so Kim Kardashian's like loungewear line.
Oh.
But only the women got it, so we were pretty special.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Wow.
So a lot of we had a group message for like the Team USA track and field team, and a lot of the men were like, "What'll it take for one of you guys to trade me for one of those?" It's like I don't think you're gonna get one.
Yeah, sorry, Woody. Take a hike. Yeah, well, awesome. I mean, this has been a pleasure getting to talk with you tonight about this, and thank you so much for coming out and doing this.
It's been fun.
Anytime. Hey, anytime you want to come back, grab some fries,
Yeah,
grab a beer.
perfect.
You're always welcome. And let's hear it for Courtney Frerichs, everybody. Tune in to watch her at the Pre-Classic. And thank you to Stormbreaker for letting us have this event here. Big thank you. Thank you to Portland Track, as always. All of the clubs and families in the city of Portland here. Big thank you. And to viewers like you at home. That's it for us this evening. Join us next time when we pierce a grapefruit with a javelin from 70 yards away. All right. Good night, everybody.